It's the end of the year! Just about a full year has passed in a blink of an eye. Nothing much happened this year, except for...
Turning now to the latest on the government shutdown, now stretching into day 34.
Yeah, that stuff. So, what is the #1 definitive best way to cope with the world falling apart? Alcoholism. Oh yeah, video games too, I guess. It's the end of the year, so I wanted to take this time and talk about every single video game that I have played in 2025. I keep a list of games that I play and beat, and I give it a score about what I think about it personally. I have beaten a grand total of 21 games this year. What's 9 plus 10? 21. It was actually pretty on par with how many games I usually beat in a year. 21 games over 12 months seems a little low, right? Yeah, it is. Because I didn't lock it the fuck in and play 80 games at once. I was personally too busy drooling over the punk rock magic skin in Mortal Rivals to even consider turning on my PS5. A little overview of what I'll be talking about throughout this video is mainly the game that I beat, how I felt playing the game, and what score did I personally give it. Pretty simple, right? Well, without further ado, let's get started with the list of games that I played in 2025. The first game I beat this year was The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I technically started Echoes of Wisdom at basically the end of 2024, but I didn't beat it until the beginning of this year. I'm gonna be honest, I really enjoyed this game a lot. I really enjoyed how Echoes of Wisdom is basically a fresh idea that has basically never been done before in the Zelda line of games. Zelda was the main protagonist instead of Link. Of course, Link is still there, but he actually wasn't the main focus. It was such a nice change that I quite enjoyed a lot. Echoes of Wisdom was also a nice blend of old school Zelda and new school Zelda. It had elements of older games like A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, but it also had elements of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Echoes of Wisdom is such a nice blend of both styles, and I hope that they explore this formula more in the future. I also can't forget about the absolute crazy lore bombs that the game dropped. The lore bombs are like absolutely crazy and change how the entirety of the lore is as a whole in the Zelda series. When I beat the game, I personally gave Echoes of Wisdom an 8 out of 10. This next game, and some of the other games down the line, actually require quite a bit of context. So, ever since June of 2023, I have been playing through every single Final Fantasy game for the very first time. I've been playing them for well over 2 years, and this game was the next one that I had to play. I am playing these games in order, so you will see a little pattern later in the video. The next game I beat was Final Fantasy XII. I am not going to beat around the bush. Final Fantasy XII is a masterpiece. Absolute cinema. There is nothing bad about this game. Before 12, 6 was my favorite Final Fantasy game, but after playing 12, now 12 is my favorite game in the series, and it's not even close. Everything about this game is just awesome. The story is amazing and engaging. The gameplay and combat feel really fun and addicting, and the music is some of the best in the entire series. The voice acting is just amazing, and the level up system in the game may not be traditional, but it works very, very well. The job system is great, and it gives you a lot of customization. So much about this game is just amazing. I had an incredibly fun time, and as soon as I beat the game, I wanted to replay the game again almost immediately. I never really hear people talk about Final Fantasy XII. Maybe I'm just in the wrong crowd. I need more people to talk about this game, please. It's amazing. I give Final Fantasy XII a 9.5 out of 10. The next game that I beat this year was also the first new game that came out this year, Monster Hunter Wilds. So, technically, Monster Hunter Wilds doesn't really have an end, but I counted myself beating the main story, which is slaying Zoshia, the final monster in the game's main story, as completing the game. I won't be saying too much about Wilds because I already made a full-length video on the game. Please go and watch that video for my full thoughts. I have been a Monster Hunter fan for a pretty decent amount of time. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is my favorite Monster Hunter game, and it's just one of my favorite games, period. I am not really a big fan of Monster Hunter World, but the game has a lot of problems, in my opinion, and I overall just don't really like what World did to the series, in my opinion. I do admit that World and its expansion Iceborne are pretty good though. I'm not saying they're bad, they're still very good. I just personally don't like them. Then Monster Hunter Rise came out, and I actually really like Rise a lot. I feel like I'm the only person in the world that actually likes this game. But that's enough talk about the old games. But I bring them both up because Monster Hunter Wilds is basically a combination of World and Rise. It takes all of the good things from Rise and World, smashes them into one game, and it takes the problems that World had and that Rise had and basically gets rid of them. I still play this game to this day, because there is technically no end. I really enjoy this game, and I think that Wilds is one of the best games in the series. I thought the story was pretty decent, but it could definitely use some work. But it is a good step in the right direction for sure. I personally give Monster Hunter Wilds a 9 out of 10. And that score still holds true even after all of the free content updates. The next game that I beat was The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2. I am a pretty big Trails fan. With the completion of Daybreak 2, I have completed every single game in the series, and I have caught up with the story and the games. Daybreak 2 was probably one of my most anticipated games of this year, and I did quite enjoy the game. However, Daybreak 2 has several problems. Problems that actually kind of ruin the game a lot. But in my opinion, I don't think that the problems were so bad that it warrants Daybreak 2 being considered the worst Trails game. I enjoyed the gameplay and majority of the story that was presented, but one glaring issue was that the game's story doesn't really do anything for the story in a grand scheme. Like, every single game is connected and it has a giant overarching story, and it doesn't really add too much. Of course, it's still important to play the game, but nothing really moves the plot forward too much. Daybreak 2 was a rushed project because they needed to put out a game for their yearly quota, so the game technically wasn't even supposed to exist. It's essentially a prelude to Horizons, the game that takes place right after Daybreak 2, and another thing is the infamous Act 3 of Daybreak 2. I don't think it's that bad, it's just very long, tedious, and super repetitive. I still like Daybreak 2, and I still think it is a good Trails game. No Trails game is bad, but this is definitely a step down from the first Daybreak game. I personally give The Legend of Heroes Daybreak 2 a 7 out of 10. The next game that I beat was Xenoblade X Definitive Edition. This was my actual most anticipated game of this year. You should probably know me by now. I absolutely love Xenoblade to death. I also made an in-depth video on X and its new epilogue, so please go check that out as well. I actually put a lot of effort into those videos. I'm gonna be honest. I never really liked X that much on the Wii U. I thought it was a fun game, but nothing really groundbreaking. That still kind of holds true with the definitive edition of the game. The game is still very fun, and I enjoyed it a pretty decent amount. It's Xenoblade, so I'm automatically biased, and the score is already going to be very high. However, some opinions have changed over the month of me sitting on the game. The best example is the epilogue. In my other video, I said that I liked the epilogue. I still do, but now I realize just how absolutely fucking messy and a little shitty it was. It kind of goes against the whole thought process and ideas of the base game, and is mainly used as a way to set up X being in the main Xenoblade universe with 1, 2, and 3. The epilogue needed a lot of work, and I think it hurts the game a little. Xenoblade X Definitive is still a very good experience, and I still highly recommend playing it. I give Xenoblade X Definitive Edition a 9 out of 10. The next game I played was actually one of the games that I had in my backlog, Devil May Cry 1. Again, I made a video about it. Please watch it. You will hear that phrase a lot in this video, by the way. Devil May Cry 1 was pretty fun, but man, was it fucking hard. And super unforgiving as well. Or maybe I just suck at video games. Yeah, it's probably that one actually. DMC1 is an older game, so I can't really give it too much shit. The gameplay is fun. It's got some funny moments in it. It looks graphically well for a game that came out in 2001. There's still a lot to like about it, but for a 2001 game in 2025, it's kind of mid. I give Devil May Cry 1 a 5 out of 10. The next game that I beat after playing Devil May Cry 1 was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Do I really need to explain anything about this game that already has not been said? It is a fucking amazing game. I love it. Once again, I made a video on this game, so please go check it out. Expedition 33 is like 100% guaranteed to win like 95% of the awards that was given at the Game Awards. Like, to be honest, just give it to them. They got nominated for 12 awards. I'm pretty sure it's the most in history, right? Like, I'm pretty sure. This game is just amazing in almost every single way. It's just so good. I personally gave Expedition 33 a 9 out of 10. The next game I beat was Final Fantasy XIII. I was absolutely dreading this moment. We have so many more games to go through, so I'm just going to keep it as short as I can. I hate 13. I fucking hate this game. This game is dog shit. It's boring. The world is kind of interesting, but it's told to you and shown to you in the absolute worst way possible. The combat is boring and bad. The paradigm system is the only good thing about this game, and the music. The characters suck. I hate every single one of them, and all of them are unlikable shitbags. I hated playing 13. And I'm glad that I am done with this game, and I will never see these characters ever again. Right? Right? 2 out of 10. I hate it. Alright, on a more somewhat brighter note, the next game that I beat was Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. I mean, the game's alright. It's a spiritual successor to the Suikoden series, but it ended up being worse than a Suikoden game. The main gimmick is that you have over 100 heroes to recruit. You know, it's kind of in the name, so, you know, that's cool and all, but 90% of the characters have really boring stories, if even a story at all. Almost none of them are just interesting at all. I don't care about any of them. A lot of them have like a grand total of 6 lines of dialogue. Period. I think the gameplay system kind of sucks. It is not very good, and it's lacking in so much areas. The game is a laggy mess, and it just does not run well. The music is nice, and the sprites are very well done. The world itself and the lore that it sets up is kind of cool, but aside from that, the game isn't amazing. It's fun to play at times, but more times than not, you'll be either really bored from doing the same stuff over and over and over again, or you'll be dead, because an enemy that is 5 levels lower than you hits you for like 2,000 times more damage and kills you in one shot. The story was alright. It wasn't some Xenoblade level story, but it was passable. I actually kind of liked it, but it was alright. I was actually so glad to be done with this game. I give Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes a 6 out of 10. The next game that I played was Devil May Cry 2. Sorry, but we're back to being negative. This game blows. It is not good at all. Once again, for the 200th fucking time, I made a video on this game. Please go check it out. DMC2 was just super boring and not that fun to play. I literally beat the game in a single day. I started playing the game at 9 PM and I beat it at like 2 AM. Like, the game is so short and so easy. That's just how brain dead easy the game was to play. I literally shot my way through the game. Plus, DMC2 had all the problems that DMC1 had, but worse somehow. It is a stinky doo-doo poo-poo uh-oh game. I am not taking this section seriously because the developers of the game sure fucking didn't. I give DMC2 a 3 out of 10. The next game I beat was Link's Awakening DX for the Switch. I bought this game very close to release, by the way, and I haven't gotten around to it until now. This game came out in 2019, by the way. It took me 6 years to sit down and beat it. Anyways, I am a huge Zelda fan. It is probably one of my favorite series ever. I have beaten and 100%ed almost all of the Zelda games, except for the newer ones. That's crazy. I'm not 100%ing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. You couldn't make me. I liked the original Link's Awakening, but I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was an alright game, and I usually rank it lower on my personal Zelda tier lists, but after beating the Switch version of the game, I have a newfound appreciation for the game. I enjoyed replaying through the game, and the graphics actually fit the game so well. I really hope that they continue with this graphical style like they did with this game and Echoes of Wisdom. However, no matter in which iteration, Eagle Tower still sucks, so there's that. I give Link's Awakening DX an 8 out of 10. The next game I beat was Pokemon Violet. This technically wasn't my first time playing because I played Pokemon Scarlet when it released, and Violet is basically just the same game but purple. The main reason why I wanted to play this game and finish Violet was because it got a Switch 2 upgrade, and I played this around when the Switch 2 came out, and I have a Switch 2, I might as well use it. So I decided to play the game again. Nothing really changed except for the performance issues. I will die on this hill. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are good Pokemon games. The main issue with the games is the performance issue, and the Switch 2 upgrades did fix that. The other main issue with this is that it only took a $450 console to make the game run well, but it finally got there. Even then, on the Switch 1, I have a Day 1 Switch by the way, and the game ran perfectly fine. Not perfect, but who cares? It's a Pokemon game, made for children, who cares? Pokemon Violet gets an 8 out of 10. After my much needed break from the Final Fantasy games, the next game that I had to beat was Final Fantasy 13-2. And you know what? This one isn't that bad. It's still not good by any means necessary, but there are some good things about this game. 13-2 did an amazing job of basically getting rid of every single main character from the last game, and having the main character be Lightning's little sister, Sarah. Sarah is the best character in these games. There's no doubt about it. She is probably the only likable character in this entire fucking trilogy. Many of the things that were in the first game did stay, like the paradigm system. The main gimmick, though, was going through time and trying to fix the future so the world doesn't end. I've heard people complain about all the different timelines and how it's confusing and messy. I'll give you messy, but it's not really that confusing. It's not that bad. The story isn't horrible, but it doesn't really do anything groundbreaking either. Like I said, the only good thing about this game is Sarah. The writers must have also known that they did something good with these games, so they did the unthinkable, and they killed off the only likable character. Final Fantasy XIII-2 gets a 5 out of 10. Now, I need to clear this up before we talk more about this one. This is not a full game. It is an expansion to an already pre-existing game. I only wanted to finish it because it has a story. That being said, I am only talking about the story and nothing else. That is very important to know. The next game that I beat was Destiny 2 Edge of Fate. I liked the story a lot for Edge of Fate. I think that the story is pretty interesting and engaging. We learned several lore bits about many characters and the world in general, and there are several lore bits that are very, very, very important to the overarching plot over these past 10 years of storytelling. We got some more details about the collapse of humanity, and a more in-depth lore about the mysterious race of the Nine. Lodi is a new character, and he was an amazing character that they introduced. He's basically just a normal guy, and he got wrapped up in all of this craziness. We got a much bigger focus on Ikora, and even got her backstory from when she was alive several centuries ago. In my honest opinion, no Destiny story can top Final Shape's story, but this got pretty close. The story was great, and I hope that we see more of this. Destiny 2 Edge of Fate's campaign gets an 8 out of 10. The next game I beat was Super Mario RPG. I bought this game day one in 2023, but it got lost in my backlog. This was one of the games that I wanted to complete this year because it was a nice and short game. I have played the original, so I was pretty hyped up for this game, and I wanted to see how it would compare to the original. I think that this game did a wonderful job recapturing the feel of the original game. Pretty much everything was there. I enjoyed playing through this game again. If you love Mario and RPGs, and really want a short game to go through, then this is the game. I give Super Mario RPG a 9 out of 10. The next game I beat was Devil May Cry 3. I think this might be the final time that I say this, but I made an in-depth video on Devil May Cry 3, and this video is actually kind of recent as well, so please go watch the video for my full thoughts there. DMC3 is fucking great. It's definitely one of the best games I played this year. Everything about it was just amazing, and I had a really fun time playing it. And I actually had a lot of really good laughs as well, mainly because of the stupid ass memes that are surrounding this game.
Why isn't this working? Is there something missing?
I'd love to go back and play the game again if I ever get the time. Devil May Cry 3 gets an 8 out of 10 from me personally. And we're back. Final Fantasy XIII-3 Lightning Returns. It should have been called Final Fantasy XIII-3 Can This Fucking Story End Already? If you thought about my rant for the first 13 game was bad, this is so much worse. This game is the actual worst. I did not think that it could get worse than 13, but holy shit, they did it. And it's in the same trilogy as well. The gameplay is atrocious. It is so against the player that you are stressing out 99% of the game, because who thought it was a good idea to finally give people an open world experience, just to give them a time limit? The story was kind of interesting. The story was just interesting enough for me to not blow my brains out. A goddess of death, of life or something, I don't care, I don't remember, basically gets slimed and nobody ages or dies anymore. So for 500 years, everyone is just basically immortal. Cool premise, but absolutely dog shit execution. The level up system is bad, the combat is slow and god-awful, Lightning is back as the main character and somehow 10 times worse than she was in the first game, and the second game, and she wasn't even in the second game. Like, how do you do that? You make a cardboard character somehow lose even more personality that she didn't even fucking have in the first place. The ending of the entire trilogy and the story is just complete dog shit too. Genuinely one of the worst Final Fantasy games, and just games in general. Final Fantasy 13-3 gets a 1 out of 10. The next game that I beat is 100% absolutely my personal game of the year. Yes, even above Expedition 33. It is Trails in the Sky First Chapter. It is a phenomenal game. It is amazing in every single way imaginable. It is a remake of the very first Trails game from 2004, and it did everything perfectly. It's basically an improvement on anything from the graphics to the combat. The voice acting is amazing. The exploration and the music and the cutscenes were just amazing. Everything was just amazing. Words cannot describe just how fucking great this game is. If you ever want to get into the Trails series, this is the game to do it. I highly recommend that everybody play this amazing game. Trails in the Sky, First Chapter, gets a 10 out of 10. The next game that I beat is actually the most recent new game that I've bought. And also it's pretty recent because it came out around 2 months ago-ish. Pokemon Legends ZA. I am a Pokemon fan. I see Pokemon, I buy Pokemon. I love this game. I have no shame in saying that Legends ZA is probably the best Pokemon game that we've gotten since Sun and Moon in 2016. Everything about this game is just so fun and addicting to play. The new gameplay style is fun and different, and it's the first time that they've ever tried out this formula. It could use some work, but it's definitely going in the right direction. Running around Lumio City was super fun, and pretending that I'm Spider-Man is awesome. Seeing Mega Evolutions back is great too, because to this day, I still think that Mega Evolutions is the best gimmick that they've ever made. The story is actually super well done, and very well written. Mainline Pokemon games aren't really known for their stories, but ZA managed to knock it out of the park with this one. I was actually so invested in the story, and actually gave us some pretty awesome moments. Legends ZA is a great game. I do not give a single fuck about what anybody says about the game. Play the game before actually forming your own opinion. Twitter just hates everything that's not GTA 6 or Elden Ring. Legends ZA gets an 8 out of 10. The next game that I beat was Final Fantasy 15. Now, hold on a minute. The last Final Fantasy game that I played was 13-3, so that means 14 should be next, right? You are indeed correct. However, Final Fantasy 14 is an MMO, which means that takes like 10 bajillion hours to play and beat. It is very long and has like 8,000 expansions to it. So I decided to skip 14 and then come back to it after I beat Final Fantasy 15 and 16. Going back to Final Fantasy 15, this is one of the 3 games that I've beaten super recently, so everything is still super fresh in my mind. Final Fantasy 15 was definitely an experience, I will say that. There is a lot to say about this game. A lot of it is good, and a lot of it is bad. I'll just keep it brief though. Final Fantasy 15 without DLCs is a really bad game. Final Fantasy 15 with DLCs is a pretty decent game. The DLCs carry 15 super hard. There is a ton of stuff missing from the base game, and the DLCs help the gameplay and the story a ton. I've heard that there was a ton of development issues that the game faced, and it is an unfortunate fate that plagued the game, and it's very clear to see. However, despite all of that, I do think that Final Fantasy 15 is still a pretty decently good game for what it is and what it has to offer. I still had a bunch of fun with the gameplay. I think the action-based combat was simple, but it worked. And later games like 16 and the 7 remake games are refined versions of the 15 system. There have been some things that should have never been ever in any game, like the driving. Seriously, I hated the driving parts. When I had to watch them drive to a place, I was on my phone doing my Fate Grand Order dailies. There were so many good things about this game, and then there's so many bad things about this game. The game looks amazing. It holds up pretty well, despite being a 9-year-old game. The combat is fun, the voice acting is great, and the world is visually nice. On the other hand, the main story is just so barren. It's not bad, but there's just so much story that gets explained in DLCs, and all of that stuff should have been in the main game. Some story elements that make no sense whatsoever is that there's like a grand total of 5 important characters in the entire game. The 4 main guys and the main villain. Every single side character is basically worthless and is thrown away immediately. Final Fantasy 15 is a huge mess. A lot worked, and a lot didn't work. However, I still really enjoyed the game. I genuinely think that if they refined everything in the game and did absolutely everything that they wanted to do, I think 15 would have been probably one of the best Final Fantasy games. If I played Final Fantasy 15 on launch, I would have given this game a 3 out of 10. But after everything, I give Final Fantasy 15 a 7 out of 10. The next game that I beat is also basically not a full game, yet an expansion to the main game. Yep, we're back to talking about Destiny 2. This expansion literally just came out, by the way, like not too long ago. Like the Edge of Fate one, I will only be talking about the campaign and some other stuff as well. First off, this is a collaboration expansion with Star Wars of all IPs. I am already very, very biased. I'm a massive Star Wars fan. My favorite movie of all time is literally Episode 3, and regardless of the current state of Destiny 2, the Destiny franchise is still one of my favorite ever. So yeah, having 2 of my favorite things together is a dream come true. I am not like the majority of the community. I was probably the only person in existence to actually be excited from Renegades from the get-go. The story is a continuation of Edge of Fate's story, which was pretty good, and in my opinion, I think that they did a pretty good job with the storytelling and adding more to the Fate saga of the game. I really liked all the characters, and I really like all of the voice acting. Like, seriously, Alex Lee killed it like always. The new stuff that they added was great and super enjoyable, and to be honest, this is the most fun I've had in Destiny 2 in a very long time. My favorite thing is absolutely the lightsaber. It is the coolest thing ever, and is super broken, and I love it. I am never taking it off. Bungie and Destiny are still in a really rough state right now, but I do think Renegades is a step in the right direction. I just hope that they don't fuck it up again. I give Destiny 2 Renegades a 9 out of 10. And here we finally are with the final game that I have beaten this year. It's kind of funny how this is the final game of the video, the final game in the series currently, and it's even got the word final in its name. The final game that I beat this year was Final Fantasy 16. I decided to play 16 right after beating 15 because I'm basically already caught up with the series, and I might as well play the most current entry in the series. And I made it a goal to finish this series by the end of 2025. Although Destiny 2 Renegade came out when I was playing 16, so I took a little pause to play that instead. After playing Destiny 2 for about a week or 2, I finally decided to lock in and finish the game before the end of the year. I have heard a lot of things about 16. A lot. And honestly, a lot of bad things. And honestly, did we even play the same game? Final Fantasy 16 is honestly pretty peak in my opinion. Yeah, it's got some problems, but what game doesn't? It's a super dark and gritty game, and there's basically not a single bright moment in this game. The game is honestly really depressing, and I love it. It's a good change from the other Final Fantasy games, and I kind of hope that they'd keep doing this in the future. The gameplay is once again action-based combat, like it has been for the past couple of games. I really like the combat system. There are a lot of combos that you can do with your sword and your icon abilities, and just overall, I just think that the gameplay flows really well. The game looks great, the voice acting is amazing, and the story is pretty simple in my opinion, but it's got an enjoyable story to go through. The cutscenes are great to watch, and there's actually a lot of hype moments in the game. I do have some gripes about the game though. Some things that I didn't really like is how you kind of unlock more combos and abilities really slowly. So for the majority of the early game, you're kind of just pressing the same 2 buttons over and over again, and it got boring after a little bit. Also, for having so much combos with a lot of potential, how come I barely do any damage? Like, everything is super flashy, but every single enemy in this game is just kind of a sponge. Like, yeah, the bosses I get. That's kind of a different issue in itself, but everything in this game can just get a nuke thrown at them, and they will take a grand total of 20 damage. Despite being very strong in the story, it doesn't really reflect too well in the gameplay. My last gripe is that you can only play as Clive. I wanted to play as the other characters as well. I like how the 7 remake games do it, where you can freely switch between different characters whenever you want, and I would have loved that in 16. Aside from that, I really did enjoy this game a lot. I've heard people say that Final Fantasy 16 does not feel like a Final Fantasy game because of just how the game is and how the game plays. And honestly, I have to disagree wholeheartedly. This feels more like a Final Fantasy game than most of the older Final Fantasy games. I give Final Fantasy 16 an 8 out of 10. Well, this was a lengthy video. I'm kind of exhausted, not gonna lie. I've been talking a lot, but I did enjoy making this video. So this concludes the video. I really did hope you enjoyed it, and if you end up trying any of these games that I talked about, then I'm glad that I was able to persuade you into playing it. Unless you played the bad ones, then I'm sorry. Of course, these are all my opinions, and I know that not everyone will agree with me, and that's completely fine. It is the end of the year. I hope that you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll see you guys in the next one.